With the conclusion of the qualifiers, we now know the 16 teams that have made it to the A division of Team Quadrilla Marble League Season 4 and the 16 teams that will be in the B division. But we haven't seen 8 of the teams in the qualifiers, the 4 auto-qualified ones and the 4 relegated ones from Season 3. So today, we're going to have 2 separate friendly rounds, one for the auto-qualified teams and one for the relegated teams. We'll see them in the same events as we saw in the qualifiers, with balancing up first, as the Poison Ivy are hosts of Season 4 and 4th place in Season 3, starting us off on the balance beam. They had a decent run, I think. No marbles made it to the end, but we had a couple going to the narrow section. I think one of their marbles, I think their captain, fell off a bit early. That's going to hurt their total just a bit. So it's going to be only 37. That's not too bad compared to what we saw in the qualifiers. Definitely not a balancing winning score though. So we'll see what the other teams can do. Now the Red Lotus, in our second run, are defending champions from Season 3. What can they do in balancing? This is great time, great practice for these auto-qualified teams that didn't get it in the qualifiers to have a go at these same events. And the Red Lotus, with one finisher from their second marble, I think they are going to take the lead ahead of the Poison Ivy. That's their second marble. Hibiscus getting the full 20. Remember that it's 1 to 9 from the first 9 rows, that 4 block wide rows, then it goes 12, 15, and if you make it to the end, that's 20 points. The Red Lotus do take the lead. Now, what can the Green Lotus do? Second place in Season 3 and the winners of balancing. They dominated this event last season. They also have a medal back in Season 2, so they're very accomplished in this event, and they get no finishers, but everyone makes it very far down the beam. How will this challenge the Red Lotus, who did have a finisher, but wasn't particularly as consistent? I think the Green Lotus, they will have 2 15s, and with 2 12s, very consistent effort from them, that puts them in the lead with 54 points. The Green Lotus, one of the best balancing teams in the league. Now the Valley Dashers, team that finished just behind the Green Lotus both overall last season and in balancing, getting second place. Oh, but it's inconsistent for them. They will get a finisher just at the end there, but they had a couple fall off fairly early. I don't think it will challenge the Green Lotus for the win. Valley Dashers, what will it be? It will be 43 with a finisher that puts them ahead of the Poison Ivy, but it's only 43, barely behind the Red Lotus. They'll be in third after this event. Unsurprisingly, it is the Green Lotus with 54 points ahead of Red Lotus with 49. Also a very solid run from them. Valley Dashers 43 and Poison Ivy 37. Compared to the qualifiers overall, it's looking pretty good for these teams. So the Green Lotus getting 4 points, Red Lotus 3 points, Valley Dashers 2 points, and the Poison Ivy 1. And now we're going to head to the second event, the Distance Drag. Clover, Hibiscus, Canyon, and Poison representing their respective teams. Remember, it's just the furthest marble that gets the win. It's the only heat of this event for these teams, because we only have 4 teams in this friendly round, and the anchor marble, Poison Ivy, Poison, the only marble among these 4 that had experience in this event from the individual Quadrilla Marble League. They go through everyone else, taking their time, and they will get the win. That's a great bounce back for the Poison Ivy after a poor first event relatively to the other teams. Valley Dashers also in second place, and the Red Lotus in third. Green Lotus go from first in the last event to last in this event, and if my eyes aren't deceiving me, the standings have just flipped from the previous event. And that means that I think we're going to have a perfect tie. All 4 teams are going to be on 5 points. Yes, they will be. Green Lotus and the Poison Ivy technically ahead on the tiebreaker, because those 2 teams have won an event. And now we're going to move on to Sprint. The winner of this event will take the lead in the friendly round going to the final event, because they're all tied. Valley Dashers, great start. Green Lotus right behind them. Red Lotus also trying to catch them, but it's not going to work. The Valley Dashers will get the win in the sprint, and that means they will take the lead in the friendly round with 1 event to go. But it's going to be very close still going to the final event. Green Lotus right behind them. You can see how close they were. Red Lotus third place. It's a bit of a disappointment for a Marble Dahlia that's done so well in the sprint before, and Poison Ivy another last place from their captain Venom. It's a bit of a surprise. Now going to the final friendly round event, you can see Valley Dashers 9 points, Green Lotus 8, Red Lotus 7, and Poison Ivy 6, but no team is out of it. Anyone can still take this friendly round. Valley Dashers and the Poison Ivy and the Quadrilla Pursuit. Remember, it's about your third marbles time plus the separation time, so you want to be fast, but you also want to be as bunched up as possible. Poison Ivy, I was gonna say they're doing a good job of that, but the Poison Ivy have lost a marble. Oh, and that's not looking good for the host. Valley Dashers also very strung out for them. They didn't lose any marbles, if I'm pretty sure. They didn't lose any marbles, but the Valley Dashers, they did. Let's see just how much separation they had in the first and the last marble. So it's 2.19 seconds for them. Poison Ivy, because they lost a marble, they'll get an automatic 3-second separation time. So it's still not good enough to beat the Valley Dashers, even if they beat them barely by the third marble. What can the Green Lotus and the Red Lotus do? They don't have that great of runs to stack up to with the Valley Dashers and the Poison Ivy. So this is a great opportunity for these two teams. And look at how bunched up the Red Lotus are and how fast they are. The Red Lotus are going to cross the line very well. And I think the Red Lotus should get the win in both this heat and in this event. Green Lotus also looked pretty quick and more bunched up than the previous two teams in the previous heat. And so, unsurprisingly, Red Lotus and Green Lotus go 1 and 2 in this event, just like how it was last season. So they pushed the Valley Dashers and Poison Ivy down to 3rd and 4th in this event. So it's going to be very close on the math. Who will get the win in the friendly round? It's the Green Lotus. Based on the tiebreaker, the Green Lotus are ahead of the Red Lotus and the Valley Dashers, but the top 3 all tied on points. That is very close. And now, we've seen the 4 auto-qualified teams take a stab at the events. We're going to see the 4 relegated teams do the same. The Blue Lotus, Street Fleet, Mountain Climbers, and the Nickel Knights. These 4 teams didn't make it to the qualifiers after the Season 3 B Division, but they're still going to get a chance to perform here, and I think they'll use this as a bit of a testing session to see what works and what doesn't ahead of the Season 4 B Division. The Blue Lotus are going to start things off, a team that really has had a big downfall. 2nd place in Season 2, all the way down to relegated in second place in Season 1 rather, all the way down to relegated in Season 3. The balancing run looks decent. No finishers for them. We'll see how it compares to some of the runs from the auto-qualified teams. It's 41. That wasn't gonna be last. That would have beaten the Poison Ivy in the friendly round of the auto-qualified teams. So that's encouraging signs for the Blue Lotus. Now the Treat Fleet, team that has 1 balancing back in the Season 1 B Division. With Caramel at the helm, they have 3 still on. 1 marble will make it to the end, and the Treat Fleet will get a finisher here. That's looking pretty good for them. They had 2 marbles also get fairly down. 1 marble did fall off to the near side a bit early for a 6, but Milk making it all the way to the end. That's very good for them. 53 points for the Treat Fleet. That's a very good run. Clearing 50 really shows that you know your stuff in balancing. The Treat Fleet clearly have got it down. Now, Mountain Climbers with Summit getting put in after this team has done well with them before in balancing. Let's see what the Mountain Climbers can do. A lot of marbles falling off to the far side. They will get 1 finisher though. It's not going to challenge the Treat Fleet for sure. How does it stack up to the Blue Lotus? The Mountain Climbers, after 2 successful B Divisions in Season 1 and Season 2, the Season 3 one did not go their way at all. 15th place only. And that's not going to beat the Blue Lotus. Just barely. They'll just have 40 points. So despite a finisher, that inconsistency really hurt them. Now, Nickel Knights. Can they get anything going for them after getting dead last in the B Division 2 seasons in a row? They made some changes. See if it amounts to anything, and it looks pretty good thus far. They will get their captain, I think, getting all the way to the end. 2 marbles also fall off close to the narrow section, or at the narrow section, to the near side. And a 23, 12 and 12, that's good enough for 2nd place, 47. That's pretty good for the Nickel Knights. It's not going to challenge though the Treat Fleet, who will get the win in balancing among the relegated teams. Nickel Knights, though, they're going to be happy with a second place against the Blue Lotus and the Mountain Climbers. So the Treat Fleet will be at the top. 4 points for them, 3 points for the Nickel Knights, 2 for the Blue Lotus, and 1 for the Mountain Climbers. Going into the distance drag now. Milk, Dime, Hydrangea, and Volcano presenting the Treat Fleet, Nickel Knights, Blue Lotus, and the Mountain Climbers. None of these teams have done the distance drag before. In fact, none of the teams have really done the distance drag aside from the ones that have nominated a marble for the individual league. Oh, but the Nickel Knights will get a bump from the Mountain Climbers. If you come down late, you risk bumping someone in front of you. That's what happened to the Mountain Climbers. You can see they had more speed than what the Nickel Knights had at that point, but just couldn't get out of their way. And so the Mountain Climbers, they almost assist the Nickel Knights to get the win in this event. Blue Lotus would have had the lead, but they're going to go to second place. Mountain Climbers only third, with Volcano and the Treat Fleet in fourth. The Nickel Knights going second and first. Could things be turning around for them? They will surely take the lead in the friendly round with 7 points against the Treat Fleet with 5, also tied ahead of the tiebreaker of the Blue Lotus. And then it's the Mountain Climbers. Now, in the sprint, Nickel, Toffee, Iris, and Peak. Iris from the Blue Lotus did win this event back in Season 1. They get a good getaway. They're going to be out in front. Nickel Knights had second place, but they fall back. Mountain Climbers will get second place. The Blue Lotus unchallenged this event. That's as expected. With the success that marble had this event before. Although Mountain Climbers really tried to get around and couldn't, though. Mountain Climbers finding themselves stuck behind certain teams in both this event and the distance drag. Still, second place for them. That's going to be their best result of the friendly round thus far with Peak. Blue Lotus will get the win here. That's looking good for them. Nickel Knights only third, so it'll drop down a little. And the Treat Fleet in fourth. So Nickel Knights and Blue Lotus are knotted at the top of the standings. Both of those two teams, whoever gets the win between those two, I think, will win the friendly round. The Treat Fleet and Mountain Climbers are a ways behind. Nickel Knights and the Mountain Climbers in the Quadrilla Pursuit. Nickel Knights, I think, are slightly faster, and the Mountain Climbers have lost their marble. The Mountain Climbers, I think, are gaining a bit of speed in the funnel, but are they going to be able to salvage anything? Because they're going to have a bad separation time, 3 seconds automatically for the Mountain Climbers. Nickel Knights, what will it be for them? They'll certainly be better based on the account of separation, although how is their third marble time? 11.78 for the Nickel Knights. That's 13.62 for them. Mountain Climbers 15.28. That's not a good run whatsoever. Nickel Knights, I'm not sure if that will hold on to first place though. It's not the best run we've seen in the Quadrilla Pursuit. Now Blue Lotus and the Treat Fleet. Quadrilla Pursuit and the final run of the day. The Blue Lotus are ahead by a lot. Ahead of the Treat Fleet. Treat Fleet need to pick it up now, but they have great separation in terms of being very close together. Blue Lotus will cross the line first, but the Treat Fleet less strung out than the Blue Lotus, so it's going to be a matter of third marble versus separation for these two teams. Blue Lotus, will their separation hurt them? They weren't too bad in separation. I think they might have get it, but they won't by 0.03 of a second. The Treat Fleet, because of their better separation, they will get the win in the Quadrilla Pursuit ahead of the Blue Lotus, who will get second place, so they will beat the Nickel Knights. And by my calculations, that means the Blue Lotus will win the friendly round by 1 point ahead of the Nickel Knights and the Treat Fleet in third.